Hi everyone, and welcome to OP Digital Blueprint. You can see I'm joined by this lovely lady today, Jeanne Alleva. My colleague's Redfern is rather busy today, and Collins is still driving. I got my 11 hours over and done with earlier. But today, what we wanted to kind of cover and have a chat about is personal preparations for where we're going and when we're likely to go full on. So I'm going to let Jeanne take the floor and give us some information, and I will chirp in a little bit. Over to you, Jeanne.
Well, thank you, Andy. It's great to be here. Yeah, I think this is a perfect time while we're, in that period waiting for the reopening of our OES and the next phases, is that we get really, really specific about our preparations, and we've talked about this, several times, but have we really sat down and done it? And so one of the first things is, like, if we reopened right now, like if we got off of this live and we went into the OES and boom, there it is, what would be our first steps? Like what would we be ready? The first thing I would do is take a moment, breathe, and thank God. That's what I would do. I would really take a moment of appreciation and thank Ash and all of that, and just acknowledge the magnitude of it. And then, just ask, like, do we have all our account information? There are several of us, not all, that have multiple accounts. So we want to make sure we have all of those details ready so that we can access them all, activate everything, go in and do that. And then, are there any immediate actions that need to be taken in the OES? We don't know exactly what it's going to look like, so we can't speculate what our first steps might be. But if there's something in the pop-up, if there's something in the marketplace, we want to go and find that and then take any actions as soon as we can, right? We want to do that. And then some of the more important things would be what are our first tasks that we want to take on personally. So that could be a home repair, a charity you've really been wanting to help out, a personal project. And if it's a project, have you taken the time to write out your plans? They don't have to be completely specific, but now's a time where you can be. Do you have contacts in your community that you want to work with? Do you have their names? Have you thought about some of the steps involved in what you want to do? Say it's some kind of a shelter or something like that. Have you thought about the different things that you want to do for that? And have you done this for all of your projects? I have a binder full of projects. So I right now could sit down and maybe take a piece of paper and write out all my thoughts on that. And this is, not only is it fun and exciting and really heartwarming to do this, but it's very practical, because when the time comes, you'll be ready to hit the ground running. And that's important because there are people out there waiting for our help. So this is important stuff. Another thing is, do you think that you will need an LLC or some other type of official designation for your business? And I don't mean your OnPassive business, because that's all in one. That is a business in and of itself. But just say you have something on the side, some kind of a foundation or something, you could think about, and research what might be needed for that kind of thing to get going. You could also think about whether you want to work with a financial advisor or a wealth manager. These are real things, because our lives are going to change, and we may never have had enough money in our lives to even think about something like that, but we're going to. So that's something to think about, and that's not for everyone, but it's something to consider. And then once we do get things going, we can start thinking about, are there family members that need help? Are there OnPassive friends that need help, maybe need assistance getting their things going? So these are just a few things to think about that are very, very practical. But one of the most fun things for me is to just say you have a project. Is you could, like Olympians do and all successful people do, you take time out of your day every day to just sit in silence and envision that project happening. it running. You're walking into a building. You're doing, you completely visualize it in all its detail and get yourself into a feeling so that it is absolutely happening. And you do this on a regular basis. And not only does it help you to manifest it, anybody that knows, some of the manifesting tools, law of attraction, all of these things that the world has been talking about for years. Not only does it help to manifest, but the thing I love is that it helps you to work out the kinks. If you're walking yourself through a project or you're walking through some kind of thing that you want to do in your life, the physical act of, call it daydreaming, call it whatever you want. You're walking through all the steps, and then you realize that this thing that you thought you were going to be doing really wouldn't work as well as something else. And I'm not sure if I'm making myself clear, but that for me, that ability to work out kinks ahead of time is a really, really useful tool. So those are just some thoughts to get the ball rolling, Andy. I hope that was kind of on track with what we were talking about.
Absolutely. I want to come at it from a slightly different angle, but also just as important as, again, whether we have one account or 600 accounts, it doesn't matter. The fact is that what we have to do is ensure that should something happen to us, and unfortunately we've lost friends along the way already, and this is quite prolific across all nations. There are over 1 million of us. These things are going to happen, but it is absolutely imperative to be able to have in writing, and I would duplicate these, but make a note of the numbers of your ID number. Okay, so when you log in, there'll be an ID number. You make a note of your email address that you've set up with OnPassive, and also your alternate email address and their subsequent passwords. And then what is also imperative to do is to either write a will and testament or a letter of wishes. So a lot of people don't have access to a solicitor, a lawyer, whatever, but a letter of wishes means that I give my position with this number, ID number, to this member of the family, and again you duplicate that and leave it in various different places. If you trust someone implicitly, you could use them as your trustee, if you like. Now obviously if you're going to see a solicitor will do that for you, but it's best to have someone, a close friend or a member of the family that you can trust, that will have a copy of these, as well as the lawyer if necessary. Okay, so we've also talked about, and my favorite phrase, as Comfort well knows, proper prior planning prevents poor performance. All the P's, a bit of alliteration for you. So, business plans. Now, some of you are sitting there going, well, I'm going to let OnPassive do its thing and build my business for me. Fine, I have no problem with that. Others, and some of us with a little more hunger, would like to help OnPassive along its way by getting some others that will be interested in using the product. So, as you guys well know, I'm a list builder. You say, oh my God, that's boring. Yes, I'm an accountant, son. What can I say? So, lists. So my lists will include couples with young children, couples with teenage children, individuals that work for somebody else, individuals that are self-employed, managing directors, company directors, or whatever you want to list. Those that work from home, those that go to an office, those that might use Zoom. All of these lists, and believe me, I've got papers coming out of my ears when it comes to this. And I confessed to Jeanne earlier on, some of these lists I have lost and will have to start again. So, but these are easily, this is what you call low-hanging fruit. So when it comes to it, you can sit on your list and go, oh, this will be interesting for that person. This will be interesting for that person. and you can send them a nice little email. You know these people because otherwise they would be on your list. Excuse me. So that is an important aspect. Have those lists ready, and then you're up and running, and you can kickstart your own business. And OnPassive can then add to these people, because once they're up and running, they may look at it from a business perspective as well and go, oh, this is interesting. I could earn some money as well. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm going to start introducing. And you may get one person that you have talked to, and they've come on board, looked at this and looked at the business opportunity and gone, oh my word, how do I do this? Right, I've got a plan. And he goes, bang, and gets 30 or 40,000 people on board, and all of a sudden your income's gone up because you've simply spoken to him first. Okay, now Jeanne mentioned, and quite rightly so, what would you like to do? If money was no object, what would you get? What would you do? What project would you do? Who would you help? And I call it a book of dreams. Now, Ash Mufara has already said that, dream big dreams, guys. This is coming. So your book of dreams should be, or should include, everything that you want. Whether it be a nice car or a new house or a swimming pool in the back garden or a cup of coffee. It doesn't matter. Big, small, indifferent. You put everything on that list and you have it in your book of dreams. And then you can include in that book of dreams all the projects that you want to help out with. Because if you encourage others, bearing in mind we've got 1 million others that are, or 1.4 million others that are part of OnPassive. So when this goes, sorry guys, dry throat. When this goes, what you'd be able to do is to use OBless and go, by the way, guys, I've got this project and it does this and it does this and it helps these people and it does that, etc. And if you've got 1 million others donating you $1 a month, that's $1 million a month. That's a lot of money. So if you start now and deal with it now, you're ready, you're prepared, rather than go, oh my God, what do I do now? Bit late. Anyway, back to you, Jeanne. I'm sure you've got something else to add from my ramble.
Thank you so much, Andy. Oh my gosh, you're the poster child of this topic. I mean, you do all of it. I mean, those ideas were fantastic. And anybody watching, if you were taking down notes of all the different suggestions that Andy just made, it was absolutely amazing. And you've reminded me of the writing down all the passwords and all that. I have a spreadsheet, just a simple spreadsheet in Excel that has and I do have multiple accounts, not a ton, but I have, a few, and I write, all the OES number, all the passwords, the emails, and all that stuff. And then over on the right, I have a notes section. And in that, I have my ideas for that particular account. Do I want to use that for, art projects, or do I want to use that for, freshwater projects, or whatever it is? I mean, I have specific ideas already in that chart of what I want that to be. And I chose my names, my, what do you call it? My OES email, my account email. I chose those names based on or actually maybe I attached the project to the name I picked or whatever, so that they're sort of appropriate to the identifier, the name. I'm not sure if I'm making myself clear. I'm trying to think of an example, but I can't think of one right now. But so that's it. This is fun. This should be fun. I think Ash has created this so that we are free to dream big, dream bigger.
Jeanne, you've muted yourself.
Oh, where did I mute myself? Did I just do it?
Give a good 10 seconds back.
Well, I was talking about how keeping things fun, like this process of writing out your ideas and daydreaming and planning out and all that should be fun. And Ash has created this to free our minds, to free us to be able to pursue the passions that inspire us. And it should be fun. And I was starting to say that Google was sort of cutting edge when it set up its offices and made them like a playground, just sort of a zany kind of playground situation to keep the minds youthful and creative and keep that fun energy, because fun, as Susan McCrae always says, that's where your solutions are going to come from. If you're really stressed out and anxious about things, your mind will shut down and it won't be thinking as creatively. So make this fun for yourself. When you're planning out your projects, just fill it with as much fun as you can, even if it's like a very intense project, like feeding people that are impoverished and they, that's a very sobering topic, but you can imagine it with everyone smiling and playing. Like imagine Seeds Academy with William in oh gosh, I'm trying to think if it's in Rwanda or Uganda. Forgive me. But there you see the children playing with the soccer ball. You see, like that is the way to envision your projects. And if it's fun, you're going to want to do it. And that's how these things move forward. So just wanted to add that. I loved your idea of the Book of Dreams, make them your dreams and then the dreams of your friends and family. And it's going to be a nice thick book there to get you going. And I don't know when we'll never run out of ideas for ways to use this incredible company and the platform. And oh my gosh, can you imagine? It's gonna be amazing.
It's going to be wild. Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's lots of things that we'd like to do, and everyone has different ideas. So by writing these things down, it brings clarity, and if you have clarity, you know where you're aiming, you know what you're looking for. Now, again, I was taught many years ago to work backwards. So we had to contact customers or contact potential customers to try and make appointments to go see them. And we used to work on the basis of, get 25 no's a day, because there's always some idiot that says, yes, please, I'll have an appointment. You go, oh, I've got to sit on the phone and make another one until I get 25 no's. But I want to make it simple. So we know that, and these are examples. So let's say that OCONNECT for 10,000 attendees is $100. 500 attendees is $100. Let's call it that. Let's make it nice and simple. If we take on a customer that pays $100 a month, our commission, or the commission that Ash is going to pay us, will be $25. Now, I'm not going to take into account if there's anything else, because we don't know any other details, but we do know that. So if I want $1,000 a month, how many customers do I have to have? 40. If I want $2,500 a month, I have to get 100 customers. Nice and simple. Okay, so then from your lists, and these people you will know. So as I said, one of my lists is, how many guys do you know that work from home? The 9 times out of 10, they'll be on Zoom. Yeah, or on Teams or GoToMeeting or something of that nature. Why don't they look at this? It's okay. So let's say I've got 20 people I could send that list to, send that email to, send that opportunity to. Okay, so that's potentially 20 new customers, because let's face it, if anyone in their right mind is going to look at something that is going to be more efficient, more value for money, and obviously cheaper than its competition. Makes sense, doesn't it? Especially from a company's perspective. So if you go into a company and your friend works for a company with 1,000 employees, and the managing director gets to look at it because your friend introduced it to him. I've got 1,000 customers, guys. Now, how hard is that? But again, as I said, you've got to work it backwards, make it nice and simple. So how many people do I have to speak to in order to get those 100 customers? Is it 1 in 3 or every other person I speak to? So I speak to 2 people, I'll get one that looks at the opportunity, or is it 1 in 5? So let's make it 1 in 5. That's normally, if it's, again, in sales, cold calling, you work on 1 in 5 as a worst case scenario. Now, I'm emphasizing the point that this is worst case scenario. If you've got something that's better than something else at half the price, people look at it. So just simply by putting this information in front of people, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get these people to actually go, oh, that's interesting, I'll take that up. But so I want 100 customers. I have 1 in 5. That means I have to speak to 500 people. How many people have you got on your list? If there's only 100, how many people are you going to take on? 20? Right, okay. You're part way towards your target. Who else can you think of? Now, again, all of the people that have taken advantage of what you've offered them, you can speak to and say, do you like what you've got? Yeah, this is great. Excellent. Who else do you know that uses this type of thing for their work? Oh, I know, Joseph. Can I have their email address, please? And do you mind if when I write to them that I can tell them that I've spoken to you? Again, if they love this, they're not going to turn around and say, no, you can't. So how quickly would it take, or how quick would it take you to get your 100 customers if you were doing that? Now, this is stuff that you can do. I mean, Christ, it takes 2 minutes to send an email. So you send 20 emails out, 40 minutes. Now, I don't know about you, but at the moment I'm doing extremely long hours. So Friday was an 18-hour day just driving. But I still managed to get home and send out 20 emails to people I needed to send emails out to. So it doesn't take much to get to that level, but you've got to have the lists to start with. And if you really, really want to jumpstart your business, work it backwards. Be conservative. It doesn't matter, because if you shoot for the stars and end up in the moon, what a shame. Yeah. Write those lists, get those numbers, and if you haven't got enough, start asking others. It's not hard. Any final comments, Jeanne?
Well, I just got jazzed up with you talking about that. And I was thinking, you don't even need to invite people in for a paid product. You just invite them into the ecosystem with free email, free the URL shortener, just whatever might be in there. Again, we don't know what the 2.0 is going to look like, but whatever's in there, we know there are going to be free products. We could just say, hey, come in, there's some cool free stuff in there. And once they're in, they're your customer, essentially. They haven't bought anything yet, but they likely down the line, as they see what's in there, they're going to. So it's really about inviting people into a platform that is going to change their lives by providing phenomenal products that they don't even have to pay for. At least, they could go in and never pay for anything, but they probably will. And then it just goes on from there. And then they're going to love it, and they'll tell 2 friends, and so on and so on and so on. Right. So I just think that if people right now, if you talk about getting really specific about preparing for what's coming, and we know it's imminent, right? We know it's going to be coming, especially after that recent, very, very positive message from Gersminder, from Ash through Gersminder. The more we can prepare now, the quicker we can get to our goal, whatever that is. And it should be fun and exciting, and we're going to do it together. And I want to thank you, Andy, for having me on today. It's been great.
That's great, Jeanne. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. it is interesting, and as I said, proper prior planning prevents poor performance. I like the idea of taking on customers just to take on customers, because if you think about this, if you take people on that are looking at utilizing the free products, these are the guys that you could turn into building their own businesses. And every single person that you bring on that builds their own business becomes a cash register for you. You know, cha-ching, cha-ching. And I love that analogy. I think that was Marty that coined that phrase. But think about it. If you took on 200 people, and we've got a social media platform that's far better than the others out there. At the end of the day, this is free speech. You're not going to, you can't do this. You can't have fake accounts. You've got to prove who you are, etc. It's safe for your kids. People will look at it. They go, okay, we'll move across. We'll start using this. So they start using it, and now they're your customer, or they're part of OnPassive. You can then say, by the way, did you know you could actually set your own business up with this? Now you've seen it. What do you think? Who else do you know? Now, the way I've done it, blah, blah, blah. And you go on, well, I've put my list together and these are the lists I broke down, and it was so simple. But actually, OnPassive does a lot of that for me anyway. And it's spare time. What would you do with an extra $500 or $1,000 or $2,000 a month? But the point I want to make here is, I know that in the UK, the average pension, the average retirement income at 65 is £800 a month. That's just over $1,000 a month. Now, I don't know about you guys, but my bar bill is higher than that. I'm not saying I'm an alcoholic. I just like buying drinks for people. Before you say anything, Jean, I know what you were thinking, but look, if you've got £800 a month or $1,000 a month, what can you spend your money on? Can you live on that? Would you like to take your wife to the restaurant once a month? No, sorry, I can't afford that. I've got $1,000 a month. $2,500 a month. All of a sudden, you've got more than twice the average pension in the UK. What could you live on $2,500? I know I can. Even though I do, $1,000 has gone on drink. but as I said, use this time wisely, make it count. We've come up with some ideas today. If you have any points or questions or comments that you'd like to add, let us know and we can discuss this next time. So thank you very much indeed for joining us, Jean, or joining me.
It's been my pleasure.
Collins is
Thank
here
you
again.
so much.
You're welcome. We'll see you next week, no doubt. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next time on AP Digital Blueprint.
Bye, everyone.